The rain hammers against the windows like bullets. Naomi's hands freeze mid-polish on the marble statue. Through the crack in the study door, she hears voices, low, sharp, Italian flowing like poison through the air. La ragazza ha visto il registro. The girl. She saw the ledger. Her breath catches. The cloth slips from her fingers, lands silent on the Persian rug. Thunder rolls overhead, covering the sound of her pulse thundering in her ears. She knows that voice. Rico Falcone, the consigliere, Don Marino's right hand. Se parla, muore stasera. If she talks, she dies tonight. The words slice through her like glass. She steps back from the doorway, her spine pressing against the cold wall. The grandfather clock in the hall ticks. Each second feels like a countdown. Her eyes dart to the gold-embossed ledger sitting on Don Marino's desk, the one she glanced at while dusting this afternoon. The one filled with numbers, charity names, offshore accounts that made her stomach turn. The ledger had been opened to a page marked with a red ribbon. She hadn't planned to look, had learned long ago that curiosity in houses like this was a death sentence. But the word orphanage had caught her eye. St. Michael's Home for Children. She'd volunteered there 2 summers ago, playing with kids who had nothing. Seeing it listed next to a $250,000 transfer made her pause. Made her read the line below it, and the one below that. Every charity was fake. Every donation a wash. Money flowing out to legitimate-sounding organizations, then cycling back through shell companies in Grand Cayman, Panama, the British Virgin Islands. The numbers were staggering. 30 million, 50 million, more money than she'd see in 10 lifetimes, all of it dirty, all of it hidden behind the smiling faces of charitable foundations that existed only on paper. She hadn't meant to read it, but once she started, she couldn't stop. The voices continue in Sicilian now. Faster, angrier. They think they're safe. They think no one in this house understands the dialect from Palermo. They think the black maid cleaning their floors is just furniture. Invisible. They're wrong. Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Naomi's fingers tremble as she grips the polished bottle. Her mother's voice echoes in her head. Keep your head down, baby. Don't give them a reason to notice you. But staying invisible won't save her now. They already know. Someone saw her near that desk. Someone talked. The study door swings open. She jumps, spinning around with the cloth in her hand like it's a shield. Rico walks out first, his eyes scanning the hallway. He's tall, razor-sharp suit, silver cufflinks catching the dim light. His gaze lands on her for half a second, then moves past her, like she's nothing. But his phone is already in his hand. She forces herself to move. 1 foot in front of the other. Down the hallway. Past the oil paintings of dead Marinos. Past the kitchen where the chef doesn't look up. Her heart slams against her ribs. The rain outside sounds like static now. White noise drowning out everything except the voice in her head, screaming run. But she can't run. Not yet. Because if she runs, they'll know she understood. And if they know she understood, she's already dead. She reaches the servants' quarters, closes the door, presses her back against it. The room is small, a bed, a dresser, a window overlooking the garden. Rainwater streams down the glass, distorting the hedge maze below. Her phone sits on the nightstand. No signal. The Marinos control everything here, even the Wi-Fi. Footsteps in the hallway. Heavy, deliberate, getting closer. Do you think Naomi will make it through the night? Or is her knowledge already her death sentence? The footsteps stop outside her door. Naomi holds her breath. The doorknob doesn't turn. Instead, a shadow passes underneath the gap of the floor. Pauses, then moves on. She exhales, shaking. This isn't how it was supposed to go. 3 weeks ago, she took this job because the pay was triple what she made scrubbing hotel rooms in South Beach. The Marino estate looked like a palace, marble everywhere, chandeliers dripping crystal, gardens that belonged in magazines. She thought she'd finally caught a break. She thought wrong. The agency had been reluctant to place her here at first. It's a demanding household, the woman had said, pursing her lips. Very particular. Very traditional. Code words Naomi knew by heart. They want someone who won't ask questions. Someone desperate enough to ignore red flags. She'd been desperate. 3 months behind on rent. Her mother's diabetes medication costing more than groceries. The eviction notice that came in a manila envelope she couldn't bring herself to open for 2 days. So she'd smiled, nodded, promised she could start immediately. The first week had been almost normal. Clean the rooms. Polish the silver. Stay quiet. The pay came in cash, thick envelopes that felt like hope wrapped in $100 bills. But there were signs. The way certain rooms stayed locked. The 3 a.m. arrivals of black SUVs with tinted windows. The conversations that stopped the moment she entered. The security cameras that seemed to follow her everywhere except she noticed the study. That room was a blind spot, probably because Don Marino didn't want his own business recorded. That blind spot had saved her life, and maybe ended it. The rain softens to a drizzle. Naomi sinks onto the edge of the bed, staring at her hands. These hands have scrubbed 1,000 floors. Washed dishes for families who never learned her name. Carried trays for people who talked through her like she was air. But these hands also turned pages. Hundreds of books. Thousands of words. Her mother used to work 3 jobs. Naomi would wait in libraries after school, teaching herself French from dusty textbooks, while her mother cleaned office buildings downtown. By 12, she could translate between Haitian Creole, French, and English without thinking. By 15, she'd added Spanish and Italian from telenovelas and old mob films. Languages weren't just words to her. They were keys, doors, escape routes from a life that tried to tell her she'd never be more than the help. She wipes her eyes. No time for that now. A soft knock at the door makes her jump. Then a voice, female, older, tired. Naomi? You okay in there, baby? Ms. Lorraine, the head housekeeper. The only person in this mansion who treats her like a human being. Naomi opens the door a crack. Lorraine stands in the dim hallway, her face lined with worry, apron still tied around her waist. You look like you saw a ghost, Lorraine whispers. I'm fine, Naomi lies. Lorraine's eyes narrow. She's worked here for 15 years. She knows when something's wrong. She glances down the hallway, then back at Naomi. Listen to me carefully, Lorraine says, voice dropping even lower. Whatever you saw, whatever you heard, you didn't. You understand? These people don't forgive mistakes. Naomi nods, throat tight. Lorraine reaches out, squeezes her hand once. Keep your head down. 1 more week, then you get paid and you leave. Don't give them a reason. She walks away before Naomi can respond. 1 more week. 7 days. 168 hours. Naomi does the math in her head, trying to calm her racing thoughts. She can survive this. She survived worse. But then she remembers the ledger. The names. The numbers. The charities that weren't charities. The banks in the Caymans. The wire transfers to politicians, judges, police captains. And she remembers Rico's voice. Se parla, muore stasera. If she talks, she dies tonight. The problem is, she doesn't have to talk. They just have to think she might. Her phone buzzes. She grabs it, heart leaping, then realizes it's just the estate Wi-Fi kicking in for a second. A single bar. She opens her messages, types out a text to her cousin in New Orleans. Her finger hovers over send. Then she deletes it. If they're watching, they'll see. If they're listening, they'll know. She's alone in this. The door to the study downstairs slams shut. Voices rise again, this time in English. Don Marino's voice, calm and cold like winter. Bring her to me. Naomi's blood turns to ice. Silence was the one rule she was born to break. The dining room smells like espresso and leather. Naomi stands in the doorway, silver tray in her hands, trying not to shake. Don Alessandro Marino sits at the head of the table, a newspaper spread in front of him, reading glasses perched on his nose. He doesn't look up. Rico stands near the window, arms crossed, watching her. Come in, Naomi, Don Marino says without lifting his eyes from the paper. She steps forward. The floor is polished so bright she can see her reflection. Her uniform, black dress, white apron, feels like a costume now, like she's playing a part in someone else's story. The tray weighs nothing in her hands, but feels like she's carrying stones. She served him breakfast every morning for 3 weeks. Usually, he barely acknowledges her presence, a nod, maybe a distracted grazie if he's in a good mood. This attention, this focused silence, is new. Dangerous. She notices details she missed before. The way his newspaper, La Repubblica, is folded to an article about money laundering arrests in Rome. The reading glasses are new. He never wore them before. His wedding ring catches the light as he turns a page, the gold engraved with symbols she recognizes from her studies. Masonic. Old world. Power coated in metal. Rico's position by the window isn't random either. He can see the driveway, the garden gate, every approach to the house. His jacket fits too well to hide the bulge at his hip, but she knows it's there. She's learned to spot the signs, the way men like him stand, weight distributed to favor their dominant hand, eyes constantly scanning. She sets the tray down. Fresh espresso. Biscotti. A small glass of water with lemon. Thank you, Don Marino says, still not looking at her. She turns to leave. Wait. The word stops her cold. She turns back slowly. Don Marino folds his newspaper, sets it aside. Finally, he looks at her. His eyes are dark, unreadable. The kind of eyes that have seen things, done things. You've been with us how long now? He asks. 3 weeks, sir. 3 weeks. He picks up the espresso, takes a slow sip. And in those 3 weeks, have you been happy here? The question feels like a trap. She nods. Yes, sir. Good, good. He sets the cup down. You know, Naomi, this house has rules. Simple rules. Do your work. Keep your head down. Don't ask questions. He pauses, letting the words settle. Do you understand these rules? Yes, sir. Do you know what happens to people who break them? Her mouth goes dry. She forces herself to meet his gaze. No, sir. He smiles. It doesn't reach his eyes. They disappear. Rico shifts by the window. The movement is small, but it pulls her attention. His hand rests near his waist, near the bulge under his jacket. Don Marino leans back in his chair. I like you, Naomi. You're quiet, efficient. You don't cause problems. He picks up the biscotti, breaks it in half. The snap echoes in the silent room. But I need to know something. Can I trust you? Her heart pounds so hard she's sure he can hear it. Yes, sir. Because if I can't trust you. He lets the sentence hang, unfinished. Then he switches. No warning. No hesitation. Capisci l'italiano? Do you understand Italian? The room goes still. This is the moment. The choice. If she says no, she's a liar. If she says yes, she's a threat. She lifts her chin, looks him dead in the eye. Dipende da quale legge stai parlando, Don Marino. Americana, Italiana o Siciliana. Depends on which law you're talking about, Don Marino. American, Italian, or Sicilian. The silence that follows is deafening. Rico's hand drops away from his waist. Don Marino's smile fades completely. He stares at her like he's seeing her for the first time. You speak Italian, he says slowly. Among others, Naomi replies in English. 14, to be exact. For 5 full seconds, no one moves. Then Don Marino starts laughing. It's low, genuine, almost surprised. He claps his hands together once. 14 languages, he repeats. And you're cleaning my floors. Someone has to, sir. His eyes narrow. The laughter stops. Who taught you Sicilian? Old movies. Books. Tourists in New Orleans. He studies her. Really studies her now. Not as furniture. Not as the help. As something else. Something dangerous. You're very interesting, Naomi, he finally says. Very interesting indeed. He waves his hand. Dismissal. But not the kind she expected. Rico, make sure Naomi has everything she needs. I think we'll be seeing more of her. She walks out of that room on shaking legs. The door closes behind her. She makes it halfway down the hall before her knees give out. She catches herself on the wall, breathing hard. Ms. Lorraine appears from nowhere, grabs her elbow. What did you do? She hisses. Naomi can't answer. Because she doesn't know if she just saved her life or signed her death warrant. Behind the closed door, Don Marino's voice drifts out. Quiet. Thoughtful. Find out everything about her. Everything. She wasn't supposed to understand. But she did. 2 days pass. Naomi doesn't clean anymore. Instead, she sits in the study while Don Marino makes phone calls. At first, she thinks it's a test. a way to see if she'll crack under pressure. Then he speaks in Russian to someone in Moscow. She translates without being asked. The Russian is formal, businesslike. Contract negotiations for shipping routes through the Black Sea. Don Marino's accent is terrible. He mangles the cases, confuses his prepositions. The man on the other end keeps asking him to repeat himself. He's asking about tariffs. Naomi says quietly, not looking up from her notebook. And whether the port officials have been handled. Don Marino's eyes flick to her. He says something in Russian, crude, ungrammatical. The voice on the phone laughs uncertainly. Tell him yes. Don Marino says to Naomi. She leans toward the speakerphone. Her Russian flows smooth, native level. She'd learned it from a professor at the library who taught night classes for immigrants. In 3 sentences, she conveys what Don Marino fumbled through in 3 minutes. The man on the phone responds immediately, his tone warming. He switches to English. Is this your new translator, Alessandro? Much better than the last one. Don Marino's jaw tightens. She's new, very capable. When the call ends, he stares at her for a full minute. Then he pulls up contacts on his phone, dials again. This time Arabic, then Mandarin, then Portuguese. Each time, Naomi keeps pace. Each time, the conversation flows smoother with her involved. Each time, Don Marino's expression shifts from suspicion to calculation to something that looks almost like respect. His eyebrows lift. He switches to Arabic. She keeps up. Mandarin, Spanish, Portuguese. Each time she answers. Each time, the room gets quieter. By the 3rd day, she's not sitting anymore. She's standing next to his desk, pen in hand, writing down names and numbers as he dictates them in languages that aren't supposed to exist in Miami. Rico watches from the corner, always watching, his jaw tight, his eyes cold. She's a risk, Rico says in Italian when Don Marino hangs up the phone. She's an asset, Don Marino corrects. She knows too much. She knew too much 3 days ago. Now she's useful. Don Marino looks at Naomi, switches to English. You have family, Naomi? The question feels like a knife. My mother, in New Orleans. She's proud of you? I hope so, sir. She should be. You're very talented. He opens a drawer, pulls out an envelope. Thick, heavy. This is for your discretion. Consider it a bonus. Naomi doesn't touch it. I'm just doing my job, sir. No, Don Marino says quietly. You're doing much more than that. He slides the envelope across the desk. $5,000. Cash. She stares at it. Take it, he says. You've earned it. She takes it. Not because she wants to, because refusing would be worse. That night, she tries to sleep but can't. The money sits on her dresser like evidence. Every creak in the hallway makes her flinch. Every shadow outside her window looks like Rico. At 2 in the morning, she hears voices again. She presses her ear to the door. Italian. Fast. Angry. Your son is reckless, Alessandro. The shipment was supposed to be clean. My son is learning. Learning? The DeLucas stole $3 million from us. We look weak. We look patient. Patience gets you killed. A pause. Then Don Marino's voice, colder than she's ever heard it. I have a plan. Marco will take the fall. The feds will think he's the leak. My son walks away clean. The DeLucas get their war. And we come out untouchable. Naomi's stomach drops. Marco Danelli. She's seen him, tall, gray at the temples, kind eyes. He brings flowers for MS. Lorraine, every Sunday. He tips the gardeners out of his own pocket. He's the only one in this house who doesn't treat the staff like ghosts. And Don Marino is going to destroy him to protect his own blood. When? Rico asks. Tomorrow night. I've already planted the evidence. Naomi pulls back from the door, heart racing. This is worse than the ledger. This is murder disguised as justice. This is a man's life traded like currency. She could stop it. She could warn Marco. She could. The doorknob to her room turns. She spins around. The door doesn't open. But the message is clear. They're watching. They're always watching. She climbs back into bed, pulling the covers up to her chin. Her mind races through scenarios. If she stays silent, Marco dies. If she speaks, she dies. But maybe there's a third option. Maybe invisibility isn't just about being quiet. Maybe it's about being smart. She thinks about the ledger, the translations, the names, the numbers. She thinks about the languages Don Marino trusts her with. She thinks about the envelope on her dresser. And she thinks about the one thing they don't know, that she's been copying everything. Every name, every number, every conversation, in 14 languages. He didn't laugh for long. The next morning, Don Marino calls her into his office earlier than usual. Sunlight streams through the floor-to-ceiling windows, turning the room gold. He's dressed in a charcoal suit, cufflinks gleaming. A chessboard sits on the desk between them. "Do you play?" he asks. Naomi shakes her head. "No, sir. It's a lie. Her father taught her before he died, when she was 7. They play on a cardboard set at the kitchen table, pieces missing, some improvised from bottle caps and coins." He'd been patient, kind, explaining each piece's movement like it was a story. "The rook moves like honesty," he'd say. "Straight, no deviations. The bishop moves like compromise, diagonal, finding the path between two truths." She'd beaten him exactly once, 3 weeks before the car accident that took him. He'd laughed, proud, telling her she had a gift for seeing the whole board while everyone else focused on the next move. But Don Marino doesn't need to know that. Let him think she's ignorant. Let him underestimate her. Shame. Chess teaches you the most important lesson in life. He moves a white pawn forward 2 spaces. Every piece has a role. The pawns think they're expendable. The knights think they're clever. The bishops believe they're righteous. He picks up the queen, holds it to the light. But the queen? She knows the truth. Power isn't about strength. It's about position. He sets the queen down. Looks at her. "Where would you place yourself on this board, Naomi?" She doesn't hesitate. "Nowhere, sir. I'm not playing." His laugh is sharp, surprised. Everyone's playing, whether they know it or not. He moves another piece, then another, building a strategy she can't follow. Finally, he speaks again, this time in Latin. "Veritas vos liberabit." The truth will set you free. She responds in the same language. "Autt occidet," or "kill you." His hand freezes mid-move. He stares at her for a long moment. Then he smiles. A real smile. The kind that actually reaches his eyes. "You're wasted as a maid, Naomi. Someone has to clean the floors, sir. Not you. Not anymore." He stands, walks to the window. "I'm promoting you. You'll work directly with me. Translations, negotiations, meetings. You'll sit in rooms where secrets are worth more than gold." He turns back to her. "You'll be paid accordingly. 10,000 a month, plus bonuses." Naomi's breath catches. 10,000. That's more than her mother makes in 6 months. "Why?" she asks. "Because you're valuable. Because I need someone I can trust. Because..." He pauses, choosing his words carefully. "Because you understand the game." She wants to say no, wants to run. But running means abandoning Marco. Running means letting a good man die for crimes he didn't commit. "I accept," she says. "Good." He moves back to the chessboard, picks up a black knight. "There's a meeting tonight. 8 o'clock. We're something professional. You'll translate for our guest from Beijing." He sets the knight down, trapping the white queen. "And Naomi, from now on, everything you hear in this house stays in this house." "Understood." "Yes, sir." Because if it doesn't, he doesn't finish. Doesn't need to. The threat hangs in the air like smoke. She leaves the office, mind spinning. She has 12 hours. 12 hours to figure out how to save Marco without getting herself killed. 12 hours to turn invisibility into a weapon. In the servants' quarters, Ms. Lorraine is folding laundry. She looks up when Naomi enters. "You look different," Lorraine says quietly. "I got promoted." Lorraine's face hardens. "That's not a promotion, baby. That's a leash." "Maybe," Naomi says. "Or maybe it's access." She goes to her room, locks the door, pulls out her phone, the one with the single bar of Wi-Fi that comes and goes like a ghost. She opens her notes app. Everything she's copied is there. Coded, layered, written in a mix of languages only she can decode. She starts translating. English, Italian, Mandarin. Every transaction, every bribe, every name. Marco's name isn't in the ledger. Not once. But Don Marino's son? His name is everywhere. She screenshots everything, sends it to a cloud account under a fake name. Then she writes an email. Simple, direct, Marco, they're setting you up. Tomorrow night. Evidence already planted. The offshore accounts trace back to Lorenzo Marino, not you. Proof attached. Her finger hovers over send. If she does this, there's no going back. If she does this, she's declaring war on a man who owns judges, cops, politicians. A man who makes people disappear. But she's been invisible her whole life. Maybe it's time they see her. She hits send. The phone screen goes dark. Outside her window, the sun sets over the Marino estate, painting the sky in shades of blood and fire. Somewhere in this house, Don Marino is pouring wine, confident in his control. Somewhere else, Rico is loading a gun. And in a cramped servant's room, a maid who speaks 14 languages just became the most dangerous person in Miami. Knowledge doesn't just open doors. Sometimes it paints targets. Marco's phone buzzes at 11 p.m. He's in his study, whiskey in hand, reviewing contracts for a shipping deal in Naples. The email has no subject line, no name attached, just a single sentence and a file. They're setting you up. Tomorrow night. Proof attached. He opens the attachment. His face goes white. Marco Dinelli has survived 40 years in this business by trusting his instincts. And right now, every instinct is screaming. The attachment contains scans of bank statements, his signatures forged, his accounts duplicated, transactions he never authorized flowing to cartels in Medellin and Sinaloa. $50 million in dirty money, all traced back to him. Except he never touched it, never saw it, never authorized it. But the evidence is perfect, too perfect. Someone with access to his real accounts, his real signatures, his banking passwords. Someone inside the family. He reads the documents 3 times, checking timestamps, account numbers, routing codes. Whoever sent this didn't just warn him. They handed him the blueprint of his own assassination. Character assassination first, then the real thing. His hand shakes as he reaches for his phone. He has contacts. FBI agents he's worked with on legitimate deals. Agents who owe him favors. He makes the call. At the Marino estate, Naomi lies awake in the dark. Her phone is off, buried in her pillowcase. Every sound makes her jump. Footsteps in the hallway. A door closing 3 rooms away. The wind rattling the window. She made her choice. Now she waits for the consequences. Morning comes too fast. She dresses in the black pencil skirt and white blouse Don Marino sent to her room. Professional. Clean. Like armor made of cotton. Her hands shake as she buttons the cuffs. In the kitchen, Ms. Lorraine won't look at her. The other staff whisper when she passes. Something shifted overnight. The air feels wrong. Tight. Like the whole house is holding its breath. At 7 a.m., Rico appears at her door. No knock. Just opens it. Don wants you, he says. She follows him down the marble staircase, through the hallway lined with portraits of dead Marinos, into the study. Don Alessandro stands at the window, back turned, hands clasped behind him. He doesn't move when she enters. Close the door, he says quietly. Rico does, then positions himself in front of it, blocking the exit. Do you know what loyalty means, Naomi? Don Marino asks the window. Her throat tightens. Yes, sir. Do you? He turns around. His face is calm. Too calm. Because I'm trying to understand something. Last night, someone sent Marco Dinelli very sensitive information. Information that only 3 people in the world had access to. He walks toward her slowly. Me, Rico, and you. Her pulse hammers in her ears. She keeps her face blank. I don't know what you're talking about, sir. No. He stops 3 feet away. Studies her. Then explain to me how a man I was about to destroy suddenly has copies of my son's transactions. Explain how he knows about the planted evidence. Explain how he called me at midnight, threatening to go to the FBI unless I backed off. She doesn't blink. Doesn't breathe. I can't explain that, sir. Can't? Or won't? Can't. Don Marino's jaw tightens. For the first time since she met him, she sees real anger flash across his face. Not the cold, calculated kind. The hot, dangerous kind. You speak 14 languages, he says quietly. But you forgot the most important one. Silence. Rico's hand moves to his waist. Wait, Don Marino says. He leans closer to Naomi, voice dropping to a whisper. You think you're clever. You think you played me. But let me tell you something about this game, little girl. The board is bigger than you think, and every move has a cost. He steps back, straightens his tie. You're fired. You have 1 hour to pack your things and leave my property. If I ever see you again, you won't walk away. Relief and terror flood through her in equal measure. She nods, turns toward the door. Oh, and Naomi, Don Marino calls. She stops. Your mother still works at that hotel on Bourbon Street, doesn't she? The Empress. Ice floods her veins. She turns back slowly. His smile is thin, sharp. Just making sure I have my facts straight, he says. The threat is clear. You touch my family, I'll touch yours. She leaves the study on shaking legs. 1 hour. She has 1 hour to disappear before they decide firing her isn't enough. Would you risk everything to save someone you barely know, or would you stay silent to protect yourself? Naomi throws clothes into a duffel bag with trembling hands. 45 minutes left. The house is too quiet. No staff in the halls. No sounds from the kitchen. Like everyone knows to stay hidden when blood is about to spill. She works methodically despite the panic clawing at her throat. Clothes. Toiletries. The 2 photos she keeps of her parents. Her mother's rosary, worn smooth from decades of prayer. The fake passport she bought 6 months ago from a guy in Overtown, just in case. She'd learned early that women like her needed exit strategies. The room suddenly feels smaller than it is. These 4 walls have been her entire world for 3 weeks. A prison disguised as opportunity. She thinks about Ms. Lorraine, trapped here for 15 years. How many other women worked these floors before her? How many disappeared without anyone noticing? She catches her reflection in the dresser mirror. For a moment, she doesn't recognize herself. This woman staring back has harder eyes than the girl who walked through the Merino gates 3 weeks ago. That girl believed in keeping her head down, staying invisible, surviving through silence. This woman knows silence can be a weapon. Her phone sits on the bed, still off. She needs to call her mother. Warn her. Get her out of New Orleans before Don Marino's reach extends that far. But first, she needs insurance. She pulls out her laptop, the one she bought at a pawn shop 3 months ago, the one nobody knows about. Opens the cloud account. Downloads every file, every translation, every transaction, every name. Then she does something crazy. She uploads it all to a scheduled email. If she doesn't log in and cancel it within 48 hours, it sends automatically. To the FBI, to the Miami Herald, to every news outlet in Florida. Her finger hovers over the confirm button. This is the line. Cross it, and there's no coming back. Don Marino will hunt her to the ends of the earth. But if she doesn't, she's already dead. He threatened her mother. He won't stop until everyone who knows his secrets is buried. She hits confirm. The screen flashes, scheduled for 48 hours from now. She closes the laptop. 30 minutes left. A soft knock at the door makes her jump. She grabs the bag, ready to run. It's me, Ms. Lorraine's voice. Urgent. Scared. Naomi opens the door a crack. Lorraine slips inside, closes it behind her. You need to leave now, Lorraine whispers. Rico's making calls. They're not letting you walk out of here. The Don said 1 hour. The Don lies. Lorraine grabs her shoulders. Baby, listen to me. There's a service exit through the laundry room. No cameras. It leads to the south garden. There's a gap in the fence behind the rose bushes. You run. You don't look back, you hear me? Naomi's eyes burn. Why are you helping me? Lorraine's face softens. Because 15 years ago, I was you, and nobody helped me. I've been trapped here ever since. She pulls an envelope from her apron, presses it into Naomi's hand. Bus ticket. Cash. Phone number for my sister in Atlanta. You call her when you get there. Ms. Lorraine. Go. Now. Naomi hugs her. Quick. Tight. Then she grabs her bag and runs. The laundry room smells like bleach and lavender. She slips through the service door into the garden. Rain starts falling again, soft and steady. The rose bushes scratch her arms as she pushes through. The fence gap is small, rusted barely big enough. She squeezes through. Her shirt tears. Here, bait, Ketis. She yanks it free. Behind her, voices shout from the house. She runs. Through the neighbor's yard. over a low wall, into an alley. Her lungs burn. Her feet pound the wet pavement. She doesn't stop until she reaches the bus station 6 blocks away. Inside, fluorescent lights buzz overhead. A handful of people wait on plastic chairs. An elderly man, a mother with 2 kids, a teenager with headphones. Normal people living normal lives. Nobody hunting them. She buys a ticket to Atlanta with the cash Lorraine gave her. The bus leaves in 20 minutes. She sits in a corner, bag clutched to her chest, watching the door. Every person who enters makes her heart skip. Every car that passes outside the window could be Rico. 15 minutes. 10. 5. The bus pulls up outside. The driver opens the doors. People start boarding. Naomi stands, legs weak. She's 3 steps from freedom when her phone buzzes in her pocket. The one she turned off. The one she buried in her pillowcase. Except she didn't bury it. It's in her pocket. She pulls it out. Unknown number. A text message. No words. Just a photo. Her mother, sitting at a table in her apartment in New Orleans. A man in a black suit stands behind her, hand on her shoulder. The message that follows is in Italian. Il bus è una cattiva idea. The bus is a bad idea. Naomi's hand shakes so hard she almost drops the phone. They're already there. They already have her. The bus driver calls. Miss? You coming or not? She looks at the bus. Freedom. Atlanta. A chance to disappear. Then she looks at the photo. She steps away from the bus. Watches it pull away without her. Before sunrise, her words would burn an empire. The phone rings. Naomi answers on the first ring. Smart choice, Rico's voice. Smooth. Cold. Now get in the black car parked across the street. She looks through the station window. A Mercedes idles at the curb. Tinted windows. Engine running. If I get in that car, I'm dead, she says. If you don't, your mother is. Naomi's mind races through scenarios. The car is a kill box. She gets in, they drive somewhere remote. She disappears. But if she runs, her mother dies. If she calls the police, her mother dies faster. Unless she glances at the other people in the bus station. The elderly man reading a newspaper. The mother with her kids, exhausted, arguing about snacks. The teenager with headphones, lost in music. Witnesses. Not enough to stop her from being taken, but enough to complicate things. She makes a decision. Pulls out her phone, the one that's been buzzing, the one they're tracking. Opens the voice recorder. Hits record. Slips it into her jacket pocket. Microphone exposed. If she's going to die, she's taking it down with her. The FBI had given Marco her number 2 hours ago, after he'd handed over Naomi's documents. They'd promised protection. Promised a wife. Promised backup. She's betting her life they keep their word. Naomi closes her eyes. Every decision in her life has led to this moment. Every language she learned. Every floor she scrubbed. Every time she stayed invisible. She walks outside. The rain has stopped. The sky is that strange pre-dawn gray where the world feels suspended between darkness and light. The Mercedes door opens from the inside. She climbs in. Don Marino sits across from her. No Rico. No guards. Just the 2 of them and a driver with a glass partition. You've caused quite a problem, Don Marino says calmly. You threatened my mother, Naomi shoots back. And you stole from me. I didn't steal anything. I copied what you showed me. His eyes flash. You know what I hate most about this situation? I actually liked you. I saw potential. I offered you a future. You offer me a cage. I offered you power. He leans forward. Do you have any idea what you've done? Marco went to the FBI. My son is under investigation. My accounts are frozen. 15 years of work. Gone. Because a maid decided to play hero. Your son is a criminal. You were going to murder Marco. Marco would have been fine. I planned to bring him back quietly after the heat died down. But now, he shakes his head. Now he's untouchable. The feds are protecting him. And I'm bleeding money trying to clean up your mess. Naomi's heart races. What do you want from me? I want you to undo this. Call Marco. Tell him you lied. Tell him the documents were fake. He won't believe me. Make him believe you. Don Marino's voice hardens. Or your mother pays the price. The car pulls up to an abandoned warehouse near the docks. Empty. Isolated. The kind of place where bodies disappear. The driver opens the door. Don Marino gestures for her to get out. She does. Her legs barely hold her. But when she turns around, Marco Danelli is standing there. Tall, gray hair, kind eyes now burning with fury. And behind him, 10 federal agents, vests on, weapons drawn. Don Marino's face drains of color. He starts. Guarda guai, Naomi finiscis. She pulls out her phone, screen still recording. Every word you just said. Marco steps forward. Alessandro Marino, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, money laundering, witness intimidation, and about 15 other charges I'm going to enjoy reading. The agents swarm the car. Don Marino doesn't fight, doesn't run. He just stares at Naomi like he's seeing a ghost. Who are you? He whispers. She meets his eyes. Just someone who speaks your language. They drag him away in handcuffs. The Mercedes doors hang open, empty. Rain starts falling again, washing the docks clean. Marco walks over to Naomi. His face is tight with emotion. Your mother is safe. We extracted her an hour ago. She's at a safe house in Baton Rouge. Naomi's knees buckle. He catches her elbow, steadies her. You saved my life, Marco says quietly. Why? Because you were kind, Naomi says. Because you brought Ms. Lorraine flowers. Because you didn't treat people like ghosts. Marco nods slowly. The Bureau wants a full statement. Everything you copied. Everything you heard. This case is going to bring down half the corrupt officials in Miami. He pauses. And they're offering you witness protection. New name. New city. New life. Naomi looks at the warehouse. The agents. The black car. The dawn breaking over the water. What if I don't want to disappear? She asks. Marco smiles. A real smile. Then we'll figure something else out. You should have listened more carefully, Don Marino. The news breaks at 6 a.m. Every station. Every paper. Marino crime, family dismantled in federal raid. The footage shows Don Alessandro in handcuffs, head down, being led into a federal building. His son arrested at his lawyer's office. Rico caught trying to flee to the Bahamas. Naomi watches from a hotel room in Coral Gables. Safe. Anonymous. Protected. The room is paid for by the FBI. Witness protection. Temporary. Until they figure out the next move. It's nicer than anywhere she's lived. King bed with crisp white sheets. Flat screen TV. Coffee maker that works. The irony isn't lost on her. 3 weeks ago, she cleaned rooms like this. Now she's hiding in one. The TV cycles through the same footage. Don Marino's face, usually so controlled, looks hollow, defeated. They show his estate, crime scene tape across the doors. Federal agents carrying boxes of evidence. News helicopters circling overhead like vultures. Her phone won't stop ringing. Reporters who somehow got her number. Unknown callers she's too afraid to answer. The FBI agent assigned to her case, Agent Shun, mid-40s, kind eyes, told her not to talk to anyone. Not yet. The case is too big, too fragile. She watches the news anchor interview a legal analyst who explains the charges. Racketeering, guide froth, money laundering, conspiracy to commit murder. Each charge carries decades. Don Marino, if convicted on everything, will die in prison. She feels nothing. No triumph. No satisfaction. Just exhaustion settling into her bones like dust. Her mother calls. Her voice shakes with tears. Baby, what did you do? What I had to, Mama. They're saying you're a hero. I'm not a hero. I'm just tired of being invisible. By noon, the Marino accounts are frozen. The property's seized. The restaurants, the clubs, the charities, all of it shut down, locked up, investigated. 15 years of an empire collapsing in 15 hours. Ms. Lorraine texts her. You did it, baby. We're all free. But freedom tastes strange. Hollow. Like winning a fight you never wanted to be in. 2 weeks later, Marco finds her at a coffee shop in Brickell. He sits down across from her without asking. Orders black coffee. You've been hiding, he says. Recovering, she corrects. The trial starts in 6 months. The prosecutor needs you to testify. I know. And after that, Marco asks, what's next for the woman who speaks 14 languages? Naomi stirs her coffee. I don't know. Maybe I'll teach. Maybe I'll disappear. Maybe I'll finally figure out who I am when I'm not cleaning someone else's floors. Marco pulls out a business card, sets it on the table. I'm starting a private security firm. International. High-level clients. People who need someone they can trust. Someone who understands more than just words. He slides the card toward her. Someone like you. She looks at the card. Dinelli, Global Solutions. You want to hire me, she says. I want to work with you. Not as a boss. As a partner. Why? Because you understand something most people don't. Power isn't loud. It's quiet. It's knowing when to speak and when to listen. It's being underestimated until the exact moment you're not. He finishes his coffee, stands. Think about it. He leaves the card on the table. Naomi picks it up, runs her thumb over the embossed letters. Outside the window, Miami keeps moving. Cars, people, lives happening in every direction. The world didn't stop because she stopped being invisible. It just finally started seeing her. His silence wasn't power. It was defeat. 6 months later, federal courthouse, Miami. Naomi walks into the courtroom in a navy suit, head high. The gallery is packed, journalists, FBI agents, families of the accused. Don Alessandro sits at the defense table, thinner now, older. He doesn't look at her when she takes the stand. The suit is new, bought with money. Marco insisted on advancing her. Professional, expensive, armor made of wool and confidence. Her hair is pulled back in a neat bun. Small pearl earrings, her mother's, the only jewelry she owns. She looks like a completely different person from the maid who scrubbed the merino floors. The courtroom smells like old wood and fear. The judge, a severe woman in her 60s, watches everything with sharp eyes. The jury box holds 12 faces that try and stay neutral. The prosecution table is crowded with federal attorneys, all of them focused, ready. Don Marino's defense team is expensive. 3 lawyers in suits that cost more than her car. They've been preparing for this moment for months, trying to discredit her, to paint her as a liar seeking fame and money. She's ready for them. As she raises her right hand to take the oath, she thinks about her father's chessboard, about seeing the whole board while everyone else focuses on the next move. These lawyers think they know her, think they can rattle her. They're about to learn the same lesson Don Marino did. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Edo. The prosecutor asks her questions. She answers in English. Clear, calm, precise. When the defense cross-examines, they try to rattle her. Call her a liar, a thief, a woman who traded loyalty for fame. She doesn't flinch. The lead defense attorney, a man named Rothstein, silver-haired and shark-eyed, approaches with a folder. Ms. Clairvaux, isn't it true that you were fired from 2 previous positions for theft? No. He flips open the folder dramatically. I have documentation here. You have a complaint filed by an employer who accused me of stealing jewelry that was later found at her daughter's room. The case was dismissed. As for the second job, I quit because the employer made inappropriate advances. He filed a retaliatory complaint. Also dismissed. She keeps her voice even. Is there a question coming? Or are we just reading fiction? Someone in the gallery laughs. The judge's gavel comes down once. Counselor, stick to relevant questions. Rothstein's jaw tightens. He changes tactics. You speak 14 languages, you claim. That's quite remarkable for someone with your background. The pause before background carries all the poison he can't say out loud. Education doesn't require money, Mr. Rothstein. Just dedication. Perhaps you should try it. The gallery erupts. The judge calls for order. Don Marino's expression doesn't change, but his lawyer looks flustered. They go at her for 2 more hours. She doesn't break, doesn't waver. Every answer is precise, backed by evidence, unshakable. When she finally steps down from the stand, she sees Marco in the back row. He nods once. Approval. Pride. She nods back. The trial lasts 3 weeks. The verdict takes 4 hours. Guilty. On all counts. Naomi doesn't stay to watch him get sentenced. She walks out of the courthouse into the afternoon sun. Marco is waiting at the bottom of the steps, hands in his pockets. How do you feel, he asks. Tired, she admits. But lighter. Good. He hands her a folder. First case. Tech CEO in Singapore. Needs someone who speaks Mandarin and understands corporate espionage. Flight leaves tomorrow. She opens the folder. Studies the file. then closes it. I need to see my mother first. Done. I already bought her a ticket to Miami. She lands tonight. Naomi smiles. A real smile. The first one in months. That night, she meets her mother at a small restaurant in Little Havana. They order arroz con pollo and plantains. Her mother holds her hand across the table. You're different, her mother says softly. I'm free, Naomi corrects. You've always been free, baby. You just finally realized it. They eat. They talk. They laugh about nothing and everything. And for the first time since this nightmare started, Naomi feels like herself. Not a maid, not a witness, not a hero, just Naomi. A woman who learned 14 languages because she wanted to understand the world, who stayed invisible until she needed to be seen, who turned silence into a weapon and used it to save a good man's life. 2 weeks later, she's on a plane to Singapore. Window seat, coffee in hand, laptop open with case files in 6 different languages. Marco texts her. Ready? She types back. Born ready. The plane takes off. Miami disappears below the clouds. And Naomi Clervaux, the woman who once scrubbed floors in mansions she'd never own, leans back in her seat and closes her eyes. Power doesn't shout. It whispers. And she speaks 14 languages. If this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss the next powerful story on this channel. Drop a comment below and tell us what inspired you most about Naomi's journey. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. Share this story with someone who needs a reminder that quiet strength can change everything. Stay tuned because the next story we share will remind you that justice doesn't always arrive with sirens. Sometimes it arrives in silence.